All right, welcome back, guys. So as promised, I have a clutch line install video. So on my car, I already had the adapter pieces in because I have a stainless steel braided line to go from the master to the slave. On the 3000s, it's a 2-piece line with like a metal junction in the middle. My car is a 1-piece. So right now I have a 90-degree bend that comes off of the clutch master cylinder, and then it goes down to the slave where it screws right into the slave with another adapter to AN. So I use -3 AN lines, stainless steel braided. This is the new line. It's a just straight to straight, no 90-degree bend this time, just based on the availability. I use Speedway motors, like their in-house brand. That's what I have on my car for my brake lines for this clutch line. And this is the first issue I've had in like the 6 years that the car's been together, with that little pinhole. But I've had no other issues on the car as far as leaks or things breaking or anything like that. So I got another Speedway line here, and I'm gonna swap it out on the car. But first I'm gonna run down to the truck, grab a little spotlight. So first step here, as you can see down there, I just put this slave in last week at the track. So I had this little piece of loom in the way. That's for a wire. So I'm gonna use my little 13 mil wrench here and get this fitting loosened up. Using gloves because there probably will be fluid spilling. There you go. So that's off there. And now I'm gonna go down to the slave side and disconnect it as well. The slave side, let me grab the light, is slightly tougher to get to. I have a water bottle down there on the speed bleeder still from the other night, but what I would recommend is removing the pre-turbo pipe for the rear turbo. Again, this is all loose from the other night when I was working on this. So I just gotta fish the pre-turbo pipe out like so. And you can see down there by the clutch fork where the fitting adapter and then into the banjo fitting is. So I'm gonna unplug the speed sensor right next to it, reach down there with my 13 mil. You guys won't be able to see this, but reach down there with the 13 mil and loosen this guy up as well. Also, when going around the backside, just be conscious of where you're putting it with the heat from the exhaust. I had this piece of wire loom on here, and as you can see, it looks like it actually came in contact with the exhaust right here. It got pretty hot and melted a little bit. So, you know, you are exposing this line to some heat, so just be conscious of that when you're routing your stainless steel line across the back of the engine bay. All right, so I hooked it up to the slave, and you can see it's up there down to the master. That'll all get tucked down and zip tied down into the proper spot, but it does give me enough like clearance and everything to stay away from the exhaust, which is good. I'm not gonna route it down like I did the last time. So I have it right in here on the master, so I'm simply going to just tighten this down to the master. And again, these flare fittings like this, once they're snug, you just give them like another quarter turn, and then that's enough, because you actually can, and it's something I've done in the past, you can crack a flare on the inside of the fitting. I did on the front brake line on this with a different kit that I had for the car originally. And you can see down in here, I rotated the piece a little bit, the little banjo piece, and just to get a better angle, because it just makes more sense. And I'm gonna just tighten this side down. Same thing, once it's snug, give it another like quarter turn until she's tight and good, and then it's routed up. I don't want to have it interfere with the shifter cables, but I'm basically just going to pull it down, and then I'll zip tie it to some things along the firewall to keep it out of the way. But in the meantime, while I bleed it, I'm just going to let it be. So my little cheater that I installed is a speed bleeder. So you can see it, I don't know if you can see it just past. I put a speed bleeder in, and I have this rubber line hooked up to it in the water bottle here. So I'm going to check the fluid level over here. give it a couple pumps and see if the speed bleeder is actually bleeding out some fluid. I bet you I probably lost some fluid doing what I just did. I did. I have no fluid at all. So, grab some brake fluid, fill this thing up, and start pumping away. All right, guys, so follow up to last night. The new clutch line is in, and we bled it and bled it and bled it. Couldn't get it. Still isn't working. So that narrows down the potential problems with the car. Basically now pushing it more towards the shift fork, the clutch fork, and the fulcrum ball that it rotates on. So on the 3000s, there's a little ball, and the clutch fork pops onto that ball and rotates on that ball, and they're known to wear out. And I didn't know this when I had the the whole motor and transmission out. Otherwise, I would have replaced that $15 ball and the $75 clutch fork. But also, it's a possibility that my clutch fork could be bent. So with the setup that I have, like with that McLeod clutch in there, could be putting a lot more pressure on the clutch fork, and the abuse at the track could have caused it to bend. These are just possibilities. But otherwise, that fulcrum ball could be worn out. So I was talking with somebody on the forums, and they were saying that to try and see if the fulcrum ball is an issue, that clutch fork movement is an issue, you can try putting a longer rod in the slave cylinder. And then I was thinking, I was like, well, why don't the slave cylinder bolts to the transmission with 2 bolts, and they're pretty long bolts. So what if I just try shimming the slave? So I tried doing that 2 weeks ago, and I just used 2 little washers, and it wasn't much, so it didn't change anything. But I'm gonna go to the store now and see if I can find like legit spacers, like a 1/4 inch or like 1/2 inch spacer that I can put on these bolts and actually move the slave out to see if that will correct my issue. Because at the same time, you can only go so far before the fork is constantly then riding on the trans or on the clutch. So I really don't feel like pulling the transmission out of this thing. I wish I knew back then when I did the clutch. Transmission and clutch stuff was all new to me. I wish I knew that those 2 inexpensive parts could have been done. I wouldn't have had to worry about it. So I'm gonna go to the store now and try and find what I need. I'm also off for the next 2 days, so I'm pretty excited to be able to get some stuff done around the house and in the garage. I also really like this new wide angle lens on the iPhone 11, because I always just used my iPhone 8, so I got this iPhone 11, and having the wide angle lens on the front of the camera really makes like this kind of recording, like in the car and stuff, so much better. This is dope. I gotta figure out a way to like hold this in front of my face. All right, so this is what I came out with. A like 3 foot long steel rod that I can cut down and make into a longer slave rod if need be to try. Then I also got some little hitch pins for the pin that holds the master onto the clutch pedal. The little pins so that doesn't slide out. May or may not have happened to me at the track last week. And then I found these 2 inch or 1/4 inch 2-pack of nylon spacers that are 1/4 inch tall. They were the only ones that were like around this length that would fit around the bolt. They didn't have steel ones. So I'm gonna try this as well. I think I might try this method first to see if that changes anything, and then cut that rod down if need be, to then try a longer rod method. And I can cut different lengths to see if any of them will work. All right, so here's where I'm at right now. The little nylon spacers didn't work. They were the wrong diameter, and they were the biggest ones that they had. So actually, I think they might have had bigger, but I already had that metal rod. So now this is the slave cylinder rod. I'm going to measure the slave rod and see how long it is, and then add about maybe a 1/2 inch and cut the other rod and replace it and see where that puts me. So this rod comes out to be 3 inches in length. So what I'm going to do is cut a 3 1/4 inch rod and a 3 1/2 inch rod off of the long piece that I got here, and that will hopefully, well, I don't even know, but I'm going to cut it, see what happens when I reinstall the slave and try getting the thing into gear. All right, so here you have 2 beautifully high quality crafted OEM plus rods for the slave. So I'm not going to bother with the boot just yet, but I'm going to pop this guy in. This is the 3 1/4 inch rod, and see if that changes anything. All right, guys, so I put the 1/4 inch longer slave rod in, and it didn't do anything. Didn't change a thing. So as you can see, like, I'll press the clutch down and I'll go into gear, and you can hear it like bog a little bit because it's actually trying to roll the car. It's like this clutch pedal isn't doing anything, and I'm kind of at a loss right now. Nothing. Second gear, nothing. Third gear, watch. He'll grind really loud in third. Reverse. Nothing. So, if you guys have any suggestions as to what can be wrong with my car before I pull this trans out again, let me know. I know a lot of you 3000 GT guys watch the channel, so let me know if you have any idea what could be wrong. I have a new master, new clutch line, new slave, put a new clutch in when the motor went in, new throwout bearing, original shift fork, clutch fork, and fulcrum ball, which could be the issue, or I could have a broken shift fork. I don't know, but I'm at a loss. So drop a comment below if you guys have any idea what it could be. This sucks because I was hoping this video wasn't going to be a fail video, and 3000 just continues to sit. So I'm not real happy about it, but it is what it is, and just gonna keep thinking, and I don't know, this is really annoying. So thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, drop a comment below if you have any suggestions before we pull this trans out again, because it's probably going to come down to us having to pull the trans out again. So subscribe to the channel, hit the video with a like, please, and I'll see you guys next time.